Let's talk about Wells Fargo. I'm actually going to start by talking about why I hate Wells Fargo and actually why you guys may hate Wells Fargo as well. And maybe you have a long history with them and you probably hate them for more reasons than I do. And actually, in reality, I don't really hate them that much. It's just that I think that they don't know what they're doing or they're not well put together because I've had one experience with Wells Fargo. It's been my first experience and it was terrible. And I'm going to talk about that as well. But I was actually looking this up based on my experience recently with Wells Fargo. And I realized that online they have a ton of bad reviews. In fact, nearly 80%, or actually that's me being very generous, more than 80% of the reviews online on some of these sites like SiteJabber at the time of making this video is pretty much just all one-star reviews because people really just really hate Wells Fargo. So first of all, I'm going to tell you guys about my experience with Wells Fargo. So I never really needed to use them as a bank. I always looked at their products and I decided that they were just better options on the market. So I never really wanted to use Wells Fargo. They had a really good credit card that they released about a year ago. I thought about it, but I didn't need a new credit card, so I didn't sign up for it. But I always thought that it was a good credit card, but Wells Fargo has been sending me letters every single month, probably even like twice a month to sign up for their credit cards, their bank accounts, their loans, just about everything. Now, I keep throwing these things in the trash because I wasn't interested until they sent me an offer saying, hey Eann, if you open a checking account, we're going to give you $400 for free just for opening up that checking account. So I was like, okay, all right, well, 400 bucks for free. I'll take that 400 bucks, Wells Fargo. Thank you so much for this offer. So I go to sign up for the account and I couldn't do it online. So I had to go to the branch. Now, first of all, when I got to the branch, they had no clue what the offer was. It took them like half an hour just to find the offer. And then they were like, okay, you know what? It's a valid offer. Then they explained to me that, hey, you know what? We're going to give you this $400 for free, but first you need to deposit at least $1,200 in this account within the first 30 days or something like that. So I opened the account and I didn't even wait that long. I deposited $1,200 the very same week. So I just did it. And then I was like, okay, I made a deposit. I satisfied all the requirements. I'm not going to close the account. And in fact, I kept depositing money into that account every single week ever since I opened the account. So it's been like 6 months and I'm like waiting and waiting. And then I'm like, wait a sec. Where is this Wells Fargo bonus? So I kept opening the app every week and I'm just not seeing this $400 bonus. So I call up Wells Fargo and I say, hey, I signed up with you guys. You gave me this offer for $400. And again, they couldn't find the offer. They had no idea what it was. Now, luckily, I still have the offer on paper and I could tell them what it was. I could give them the code. And so they looked it up. It took them some time. And then, yes, they finally found it. And they said, okay, it's a valid offer. And then the person that I spoke to on the phone, she told me that the offer was valid. She checked my account and she verified that I satisfied all the requirements. And she's not sure why the account bonus wasn't actually deposited into my account. So she was going to, I guess, escalate the issue to some other department and they were going to respond to me within 14 days. And then I was like, okay, fine, I'll wait the 14 days, right? So we hang up, I go back to doing what I do. And then a month from then, they mailed me a letter saying that I never satisfied the requirements. And of course, in the letter, they weren't specific, right? They didn't say which requirement I didn't satisfy. It was just a generic letter that they just had a template somewhere and they were just like, okay, you know what, this guy is asking questions. Let's just send him a generic template and get rid of him. And that's the feeling that I got. So I didn't even bother to call Wells Fargo again because I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I'm not going to go back and forth with you guys because clearly you don't know what you're doing internally because you guys can't find the offer. If I wasn't able to prove that I had it, then you guys would probably tell me that it didn't exist. And I know this because when I called online, they didn't know what the offer was. Then the person on the phone confirmed that the offer was good after I proved that I got the offer from them and I had met all the criteria to get the bonus money. They actually said that I did. And now they've sent me a generic letter saying that I'm not going to get the bonus because I didn't meet the offer requirements. And of course, I Googled the same thing and guess what? I found tons of people online complaining that Wells Fargo doesn't honor their bonuses, which is a problem because if you use a bonus to get a customer in the door, then I think you should probably honor that bonus because that's the first thing that you actually promised to this new customer. So this is one of the reasons, and from my personal experience and also from other people online as well, why people hate Wells Fargo so much. Now, apart from my experience, and by the way, I'm just gonna close that account and just forget about it because like I said before, I didn't really need to use Wells Fargo, but that offer was tempting. It's $400 for free, so why wouldn't I? And that's why I signed up. But big banks in general, like Wells Fargo, they usually have poor customer service. They have just bad customer service. You have to wait a very long time to get anything done. They don't give you any interest on your money. They charge you account maintenance fees. They charge you monthly fees. They charge you ATM fees. They just load you up with a bunch of fees like they're just trying to rip you off, and they don't really give you anything good in return. And recently, I made a video talking about why people hated Bank of America so much, and it's kind of like the same thing here. These big banks, they pretty much just take your money, they lend it out at like 14% and upwards. They take all the interest for themselves, they pocket it, then they end up giving you like 0.01%. I mean, we can check Wells Fargo's website right now online. Let's see what the interest rates are at Wells Fargo. And if you got an account here, and I have an account and I don't even know what the interest rating because it's so small, I never actually see it. But let's go onto Wells Fargo and see what the actual interest rates are, right? So as you can see here, it's not that much, right? It's not really different from a Bank of America either. I talked about that in a previous video recently. So they're giving you 0.01%. Now, Wells Fargo is also giving you 0.01%. If you look at like their CDs or something, I guess you can get up to, or the maximum here seems to be 0.2% or 0.02%. So to put that into perspective, if you had $10,000 in a CD here and you were getting what, 0.02%, this means that after 1 year, you'd have a whopping $2 in total interest. So yeah, these big banks, they just take your money. And if we compare this to their credit cards, you'll see what I mean. As you can see here, they're charging, it's pretty much the same as Bank of America. It's a little bit higher or in the higher end, but it's still like 14.49 to 26.49%. So Bank of America was, I think, like 24.49%. So it goes up a bit higher here, but they're really charging anywhere from 14% up in interest here, but yet they're giving you 0.1 or 0.02% in interest on your money. So you're pretty much just profiting from giving you bad customer service, a bunch of fees, and in my opinion, not financial advice, of course, but in my opinion, they're just exploiting you because you can get better service, you can get better interest, you could get a better experience elsewhere, and it's not gonna cost you anything. So if you're looking for a different bank to use, I mean, you could go with credit unions. They are okay, but from my experience with credit unions, they're just behind on tech. They're not up to date with the latest technology. They're still good. So sometimes you may have to go into the branch for things that you wouldn't necessarily have to go in branch for, or you'd have to call them up for things that you wouldn't necessarily have to call up a big bank for. But credit unions are a better option. But also, if you want the best experience, you should try an online bank. For example, I use SoFi and I use Chime. They don't charge you any fees. They both have FDIC insurance up to $250,000, which is what you're gonna get at BOA or Wells Fargo. And unlike a big bank, they don't charge you any monthly fees. And also when you go to the ATM, they're not gonna try to rip you off with some fee. It's free once you use an in-network ATM. And Chime, for example, has in-network ATMs off over 30,000+. And some of these accounts can actually be used overseas as well. And they don't charge you any foreign transaction fees, which is something that's very good. You're gonna get hit with that if you use one of these big banks. And these foreign transaction fees are gonna be like 2 to 3%, sometimes even 4% off whatever you're purchasing overseas. So, I mean, online banks are really the way to go if you want a good online experience, a good app, good customer service, decent interest rate, and just an overall better banking experience. So I'm gonna leave the link down below to these two that I use. They're two really good ones. SoFi does honor their bonus. Chime does honor their bonus as well. And you can get either $25 or $50 at SoFi depending on the current offer, $100 at Chime if you use my link to sign up. But these are better alternatives than these big banks. And with that said, Big banks are still good because they have good loan products. If you want a mortgage or a credit card, their credit cards are better. When I just started a video, I mentioned that Wells Fargo has a really good credit card, or I think is a good credit card because I never bothered to get it. And after my experience with Wells Fargo, I'm not sure if they're always going to be honoring what they say they will do. So for that reason, I probably won't apply for that credit card because I don't want to apply for something with an expectation of getting something and then I have to go back and forth with customer service and writing letters just to get what I was promised in the first place, right? So I can go someplace else and I can get a much better experience for credit cards, loan products. Big banks are still good for these. But if you're just looking for a regular everyday banking experience, I will definitely go with online banks. And I want you guys to comment below. Let me know if you currently use Wells Fargo. Let me know what your experience has been like. Tell me if they did anything wrong, if you were like fed up with them and why you left, if you left. And with that said, I hope you guys found this video helpful. I hope it helps you to understand that you don't just have to sit back and take whatever these big banks throw at you. You can definitely go out there and you can find different solutions and you can have a much better banking experience. And with that said, all the best with your banking and I will see you guys very soon in the next one.